maybe looking at each day is the wrong resolution. Let's continue the daily Count Me Apps over here, where I talk for 10 minutes about random subjects, and after 10 minutes I just cut it off unedited. So why I was thinking about the idea of resolution when you look at a single day, or I mean, you can zoom in to a single second. There we just had it, right? But we can also zoom out to, let's say, a minute, and then an hour, and then let's maybe call it half a day or something like that, because I don't think that an hour and then jumping to a day is sensible. I think there's some one or two sort of areas in between which we could focus on as well. Then you get the day, and I think going from a day to a week does make sense, although you might, because it's hard to delineate or sort of neatly separate like the week into two halves. Basically, you could possibly do it with the week and the weekend. I think that might work, but it's a little bit sloppy. I don't like it. Then you go from 1 week to a fortnight. 100% you can't go from a week to a month. I think that's too much. I think you go to a fortnight, and then you get to a month, then you get to a quarter, then you get to a year. Then it's interesting. Going from a year to a decade, I think, is too much as well. I think you should go to like 5 years. Yeah, I think you should go to 5 years. So half a decade, then you could do, and then it's your life, I guess. But I think that a decade and life, it's once again too far apart. I think you might be able to do, maybe you should do quarter lives, so 25 years, just as a frame of reference, and then just suppose that your life is going to be 100 years. Whether or not it is going to be, I don't think it matters in this instance, but those could be the resolutions that we have. And one of the reasons I think about these resolutions, or I'm thinking about these resolutions, is because I think that it is wrong. Now, one of the reasons why I started the channel and this format was to get better at speaking. And I think that I have, at least to some degree, definitely got that. Well, I definitely improved. I think that is there. However, one of the issues is that due to the fact that this is a basically daily 10 minutes, and then, you know, there's not really that much editing, obviously, because it's just putting the voice lines in, putting the Minecraft background in, right? So that there's like something on the screen, basically, and then continuing from there, and basically just taking that, exporting it, making a thumbnail, that's it. So overall, one video, if it's like really fast, take like 25-ish minutes, let's say, just for the sake of argument. And that's fine, but the issue is that this has gotten to the place, or this has, the consequences of that has been that it has been somewhat of a churning out. So not to say that none of this is interesting or useful, but the reason why I'm considering changing this format up in its entirety is due to the fact that I think that there could be more gained, both for myself as well for you as the listener, by me taking a little bit more time for each of the videos, still trying to constrain them to 10 minutes, so trying to contain them as unedited, but maybe completely changing it. I don't know yet. This is a thought that I've just had, because I do think that there is some sort of, I think the quantity does sometimes retract from the quality, although I'm not 100% sure, because maybe the entire format here is not meant to be the quality as I would like it to be. Maybe this is okay. I've been thinking about this or concerning sort of quote-unquote slop content. Now, when I say slop content, I think that there are many different things and definitions and sort of flavors of slop content, right? You have to be very careful, because like, I think that, first of all, one man's slop is another man's treasure. I think that's also a little bit of a difference. But one huge thing is, I would say, let's suppose reaction content. So let's say like Asmongold or something like that, which is obviously, he's a huge channel, absolutely, I mean, enormous, like no video that he posts gets less than like 500k views, which is absolute insanity. And I watch a lot of stuff from him myself, and sometimes I don't even quite know why. But I think this is maybe that's also where some critique of oneself should be sort of leveled at oneself and said, okay, but like, why am I watching this? If like, there has to be some sort of value that you gain if you watch something. Now, even if it's not necessarily the value that you're looking for, it doesn't matter. But if you're watching something and you're focusing on this, there has to be something in there where you gain from this. Regardless, the reason why I'm thinking about this is because I don't think that it is slop at all. I think the slop content, the real content that is like bottom of the barrel, is like automatically generated AI, like that's literally just there to make a quick buck. I would say that is the worst of the slop content. Any reaction, I just cannot see it as slop, because sometimes it might lead to something better down the road. As in, one example once again, for Asman, he reacted to another creator's video, the background NPC, and basically she went from 300 subscribers to 123,000 in a course of like 3 weeks or 2 weeks. And and also all of her next videos were absolutely amazing, and they are still getting quite a few views, like a lot of views still. And that's what I find fascinating, because we say, oh, this is sort of slop content, but then I'm like, I don't know that it is. It, like, is critique slop content, right? Is the film critic, I mean, you can argue that it's that the critique of literature and film and art is in and of itself slop, but that is not what it is. Like, most of humanity or most of time has been we're not dealing with it like that. We're not supposing that it is slop to critique other works. And the question is, why is that? And I don't know. It might be the case that because every piece of art has more a good line in a poem or a good book. You can always write more about the book than the length of the book. Because if it's a good or a great book, if it's a good piece of art, then there is more contained within it than the number of words. That's why you can say more. That's why when you have video essays of like Lost, the video essay is 8 hours long for a singular episode, because you can talk so much more about it because there's so much more contained within it. That's an interesting one. And I think, see, this is what I mean when I think about these things, and when I think about the talks over here, where these are sort of some of my unedited thoughts, just sort of more or less stream of consciousness. I have some things written down, but in this instance, I have nothing written down of this. This is sort of thinking on my feet. It's interesting, but maybe what would make sense is having this and then condensing it into an actual script, and then just actually doing that. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna do something like that. Because I just feel like there's more to be gained there. But maybe that's a thing for the worst thing I can say. The worst words that I might utter, or maybe this is for another channel. I have this unbelievable tendency to just make too many channels, which is obviously not a good idea. But I don't know. I've just been thinking about this, and this is because this is a channel where I just yap. Well, why not talk about anything, right? Anything and everything. What the heck? And we'll see. Maybe this shifts, right? Maybe this format will shift a little bit in the future. Maybe it will not, right? Maybe I'm just gonna continue with it, and maybe it's gonna just continue this, and then maybe from that I take the nuggets of things that I find interesting, and I actually develop them to a script, and I actually talk about it, and then review it. I don't know yet. Maybe we're going to see a change in this. I would not say no, because I think that making these videos a talking head videos, also having a video component with it instead of Minecraft in the background, just me talking, I think that could be very, very interesting. I just don't know, because because it depends on what the target audience is. But we'll see. We'll see. But regardless, I think we're already, the time is already done. I don't know yet. So if it cut off, there it is. But that's going to be it for today's Yap.